Let me tell you, if you'd been in that marble hall that afternoon, you'd remember the laughter first, cruel, echoing off stone, just sharp enough to sting your ears. Open the maid's bag. Somebody shouted, the words bouncing between banners and columns while 100 military cadets circled in to watch the show, hungry for a little humiliation that wasn't their own. There I was, Lyra, standing dead center, my hands clenched tight, a faded gray bag hanging from my shoulder like an anchor. They snatched it before I could even blink, ripped it open, and hurled it. Across the floor, breadcrumbs and debt notes, and this old, crumpled photograph scattering out for everyone to see. Look at that. Born from the gutter, one cadet sneered, and I saw her heel grind. Right through the only picture I had left, tearing my face in half. If I told you I flinched, I'd be lying. I didn't even blink, just stood there watching, while the whole mess rolled out in front of them, until a thick piece of fabric tumbled free. Gold stars caught the light, and suddenly, every voice dropped out. Right there, in the chaos, they were staring at a general's insignia stitched with a name none of them expected, Cassian Kestrel, commander of Helion. The loudest jerk in the room staggered back, face white as a sheet, trying to pretend he didn't care. The rest just kept buzzing. So high on themselves they barely noticed my fingers twitch, just once, like I was holding back more than 1,000 words. Nobody saw the kid in the captain's jacket, standing in the back, staring too long at the torn photo of a little girl beside a soldier with my eyes. Nobody, except maybe me. This place was all polished stone, banners, and ego, a palace built for people who always fit in. I was the janitor, after all. Worn-out sneakers, faded sweater, mop handle for a sword, outnumbered 100 to 1. And then Alara Dorn stepped forward, heels clicking like a judge's gavel. Her smile razor-sharp, the kind of girl whose daddy could buy her out of anything. She snatched my bag off the floor, holding it up like she'd just caught a rat. Let's see what this nobody's hiding. She cooed, and the crowd cheered her on. Before she could dump it again, some junior cadet, maybe desperate to be noticed, pointed at my shoes, cackling about the holes, the missing laces. Crack. Alara poured out the rest. Coins, a half-eaten apple, a notebook with a battered cover. She flipped it open and tried to read the words inside, tripping over them with her syrupy fake pity. You think you're going to be somebody? More laughter, harder now, a feeding frenzy. A wiry cadet with a mean smirk kicked my coins across the marble, accusing me of stealing from vending machines. Still, I bent to gather my things, slow, steady, pausing on the torn photo just long enough to remember my father's arm around my shoulders, the same eyes, the same stubborn line to the jaw. Alara's voice twisted. What? You going to cry over your little picture? Who's that, your imaginary dad? I looked right at her. It's just a photo. My voice was flat, factual, and for a split second her mask slipped. That's when another cadet tried to needle me about the slums, about boyfriends, and the gutter. You sound like you'd know, I said, barely loud enough, but it landed anyway. You could feel the crowd turn, a little less certain. And then Colonel Darien Vale swept in, every step a threat, boots echoing like a warning. He didn't even look at me at first, just the mess on. Out. A cadet, eager to please, muttered about cardboard boxes. She even smeared dirt on my father's face in that photo with her boot. I picked it up, wiped it gently, and asked her what standard she thought she was upholding. The room finally fell quiet. As I gathered my things, each move deliberate, they watched, waiting for me to break. But I didn't. I just walked, sidestepping a trip attempt. So smooth it made the Joker look like the fool. And as I passed the window, I saw my reflection, slouched just a bit, before pulling myself together. The world outside kept moving, groundskeepers. Kids, nobody caring about the scene unraveling inside. But Captain Thane Roar saw. He was younger, sharp-eyed, hands in his pockets like he had nothing to prove. He saw the insignia. The watch hidden in my bag, the one with CK01 etched in the back. When Darien snatched it from him, demanding answers, I didn't blink. It was my father's, I told him. Darien's mask slipped. Just for a heartbeat. Someone whispered I must be bluffing, but I looked him dead in the eye. You sure about that? Alara tried to keep the crowd with her, calling me a thief, but her voice was shaky now. Captain Thane didn't say a word, just kept watching me, really watching, like he'd seen this story play out before. The next morning, the academy was tense. Alara, bruised ego and all. Even the battered old passport. An officer with bright red lipstick tried to shame me, but I just asked why her hand was shaking. The room felt smaller after that. Darian tried to end it, holding up the uniform, calling me a fraud, saying, "You're done here." But I stepped forward, looked him right in the eye, and said, "I know what you're afraid of in that uniform, Colonel." He froze, just long enough for Alara to jump in, mocking again. But before she could finish, a piercing beep split the air. Screens flickered, scrolling names and dates and numbers, evidence of Darian's embezzlement for everyone to see. You want to talk about a twist? There it was. Chaos in the hall, cadets stepping back, guards on edge. Darian, desperate, screamed for my arrest, calling me a spy. I let them cuff my wrists, face calm as ever. Alara started live streaming, hungry for blood, but nobody was laughing anymore. Thane caught my eye, and we didn't need words. He knew what was coming. And then the radio snapped to life. All units stand down. This is General Cashin Kestrel. Doors crashed open. My father stepped through, alive, battered, but standing tall. The whole room froze. Alara dropped her phone. Darian went pale, and I just felt the weight lift off my shoulders. Cashin's voice cut through the noise. "Release her." The cuffs fell away. He handed Darian the evidence, embezzlement, treason, everything. The world saw it. Live, no escape. Alara collapsed, begging forgiveness. I stepped back. Darian screamed about being tricked, but the guards were already dragging him away. Cashin pinned a new insignia on my shoulder, his voice ringing through the silence. Honor doesn't come from a uniform. It comes from doing what's right, even when the world's against you. He named me Lieutenant Colonel, right there in front of everyone who'd spat on my name. The aftermath? The bullies got exposed, their lives blown up online. Alara's family lost contracts, her old classmates piled on. Darian's career ended in handcuffs. Most of the cadets who'd laughed kept their heads down or disappeared. Me? I walked out of there with my father at my side. Never looked back. The world tried to spin it. Some called me a hero, others a fraud. I didn't care. I had nothing left to prove. When they called me before Congress, tried to question if I was tough enough, I just played them a video, my father's words, his blessing, the truth. "I'm not here to carry my father's legacy," I said, staring down senators and skeptics. "I'm here to finish what he. You weren't